Just I like my cup of coffee, and so I bought this little Bunn water cooker countertop gadget. It's pretty simple. You put the water in the top, and then you get hot water out of the bottom. And so this has a little tank here that you can see you can pour water in. And it's very simple. It doesn't even have any switches or buttons or anything. You just plug it in and away you go. It comes with a pitcher. I think it's like a half-gallon pitcher that you can use to pour the water in here. And so that's about all there is to it. I've had several, Walmart grade countertop water cookers, and I didn't like their poor quality, so I really wanted something that's high quality, and so I bought this. I've had several Bunn products, and one of the things that always bothered me a little bit is that they don't have any insulation, so they get pretty hot when they're turned on, and then the heater element is running pretty frequently. And as you can hear, the air conditioning's running, and I'm paying for heating this thing up, and then I'm paying for the air conditioning to cool the house back down. So I've looked for ways. I had a Bunn H5M before, and I put insulation in that with good results. They went from running once every 8 to 10 minutes to running once an hour. And so I did the same here. Let me show you the back here. Now when you open this up, there's some screws here, and the screws break off when you open up the top. I don't know if that's Bunn's way of voiding your warranty when you open it, but that's something that I think is kind of lame and unnecessary, because there's really the machine is very simple, so there's nothing much that you can do wrong in here. I mean, you could, but if you're anywhere qualified to work on anything electrical, then there's nothing in here that's gonna blow your mind. So I put some of that insulation around the heater. So this top here is the actual reservoir for cold water, although it does kind of gradually warm up from the tank, and then the bottom here is the hot water, and this is what I insulated. If I pull this back, you can see this is the tank right here, and it's got a 1 kilowatt heater that's inside of it, like a loop, and then it's also got a smaller heater, like a 30 watt, a 35 watt, I think is what they said, that's wrapped around it. I can't quite see it because of the insulation, but it's just wrapped around like a blanket, and so that holds the water a little bit warm. And then the 1K is what actually heats it. The 35 watt is just always on. Whenever you plug it in, it's turned on. Now the other thing I notice here is that it does have a thermostat. You can actually set this, and what the manual tells you is that, well, you have to, it's by default it's set to 200 degrees, but if you're at higher altitude, the boiling temperature of water is less, and so therefore you need to turn down the temperature. Otherwise the water will boil off. The highest you can set it is 200 degrees. It doesn't allow you to set it any higher. Some of the Bunn, like the H5X, they have electronic control, and so they can, when they get over 200 degrees, they electronically turn down the power on the heating element, and so they can get all the way up to 212 without boiling off the water. But this one, because the heater's just always full power when it's on, then it needs to shut off at 200, otherwise it starts boiling the water from the heating element. And so I think it's kind of curious that they put the thermostat inside, where you have to remove their warranty screws and remove the back panel to just adjust the temperature, because the manual tells you that you need to turn it down when you're at high altitude. And so it seems like then you would need to be able to adjust this thermostat. So it seems to me that it's better to have that externally facing. If they just mounted it the other way and then made a little hole so it comes out the side, then the user can adjust it, and then it can also double as a power switch. This thing right now, it doesn't have any power switch on it, so you just have to plug it in, and when you're done, you unplug it. And so you can see all the wires are here. So I'm thinking, in fact, on my Bunn H5M, that's what I did. Is I disconnected this, and then I put just a light toggle switch, for like a house. I mean, they cost like $1, right? So put a toggle switch on the back so you can turn it on and off. And I might just do the same thing here. You can just undo this nut and then leave the 30-watt element connected, and just put the switch on the 1 kilowatt. And the design is pretty clever. So this is the top reservoir, and then on the bottom is the heater, and then the faucet is actually at the top of the heater. So even if you leave the faucet on and it drains the reservoir all the way, it doesn't drain the hot water element. So that way the element never boils dry. Like even if you run it till there's no more water left, the tank will still be full. So that's pretty safe that way. And then also, as soon as you add more cold water, you instantly can draw hot water again. So the heater element can keep the water hot even if the reservoir runs empty. So you get hot water right away. And with this insulation, it actually stays warm overnight. At least in the morning, it's kind of lukewarm, maybe 120 degrees or something. And then if you plug it in for maybe 5 minutes tops, then it's right up to boiling temperature again. So it works really well. And I think when I get the power switch so that the blanket heater stays on, then it'll be, it'll stay boiling temperature with just that. And there's a fair amount of space around the boiler. I was able to push the insulation all the way around with my hand, and I have pretty big hands, so I don't see, they advertise it as a 3-gallon, I think, but I don't think it's got 3 gallons of capacity. I think I put the picture only in about 3 times, so that's maybe 1.5 gallon, but it heats up pretty quick. It's fine for me. In fact, it's kind of nice that it's not real big. That way, it only draws 1 kilowatt, so it doesn't take very much power out of a regular outlet, and it heats up pretty quickly. If you have a big water reservoir, then you end up having to wait a long time for it to heat up when you turn it on. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it. I would hope that they can make some changes as far as adding some insulation and adding like a power switch or a thermostat on the outside, and using different screws at the top so that it's easier to open up the machine and put it back together. But it's definitely a good quality product, and would highly recommend it.